likes cat. Don't distract everybody. You'll have to go out. Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order. Do roll call. Ryan Miller.
Here.
Kyle Maraskin.
Here.
Christine. Here. Alina.
Here.
And Christy's out. Mr. Muhammad.
Yeah.
All righty. And I'm here. Let's stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Name and address? Okay, we haven't had any requests for public comment, so I assume no one's here for public comment. Then if you are here to attend a regular meeting for a possibility of a board appointment, can you please stand and give your name and address so we can record it? All righty, thank you. So we're going to move on to the public hearing. To hear input from the public regarding an ordinance of the City of Manvel, Texas, amending the zoning ordinance of the city by amending the zoning classification of approximately 1.64 acre tract of land located in the southwestern corner of State Highway 6, Morris Avenue and Blue Water Street intersection, Manvel, Texas, across the street from Starbucks at 7326 Blue Water Street, from Light Commercial District, State Highway 6 Overlay District, to Light Commercial State Highway Overlay District with a specific use permit, providing for and granting of a specific use permit for conditions to authorize the use of the property for NAICS use 811192 car washes, providing for the amendment of the city's official zoning map, providing for severability, and providing a penalty in an amount not to exceed $2,000 for each day of violation or any provision hereof. Any comments on the public hearing? Second call for comments on the public hearing. And last call for comments on the public hearing. And we will close the public hearing at 6:04. Consent agenda. Approve the minutes to date. Do I have a motion?
I will give you a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please raise your hand. And the motion passes unanimously. Do we want to leave, or maybe go into executive session first? Which would you recommend? Because we have things on the agenda. What would you recommend?
I think the background of the executive session may somewhat pertain to a couple of items on the agenda coming up after that, so it would be better to go into executive session first.
We're going to break to go into executive session, and we will return shortly. Okay, do we need to give a time back or we're still in session, really? Do we need to give a time? 22, 23. Return for our regular agenda. Can we put A and B together? Would you be okay with that?
I am if you are. Yes.
Everybody did their little.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna, you wanna read A and B, or just read, we gotta do the first two?
Me? You want me to read? Yep. All right, consideration and possible action to approve preliminary plat for Meridiana, Section 10A.
And B?
Oh, and B, consideration and possible action to approve the preliminary plat for Meridiana, Section 10B.
So would you like to give us a quick scenario?
Yes, ma'am. So this is Meridiana Section 10A and 10B preliminary plats. The property is located off of Meridiana Parkway, not right off the corner, but in the vicinity. You may have recognized these plats before. You did have previously preliminary approvals on these plats. They were shown in a different configuration at that time. Previous iteration of these sections showed an interconnection on the north end of B and the north end of A that connected. Current configuration between the two sections shows a cul-de-sac in A and then two cul-de-sacs in B. Because the shape of both 10A and 10B have changed from the general development plan, as well as circulation not shown on the circulation route, not shown on the GDP. Staff is not recommending approval of this, and I will give you reasons why. Staff is not recommending approval of Meridiana 10A and 10B. The plats do not address deficiencies that pertain to Chapter 62 Subdivision Ordinance, Design Criteria Manual, and Associated Development Agreement, PUD. That is to, one, provide a drainage plan for approval from the Drainage District. The letter of no objection submitted indicates that a drainage plan has not been approved and submitted for approval. Secondly, the preliminary plat should generally conform to the general development plan. Any significant change as determined by the city's designated official shall require the submittal of a revised general development plan for approval by the Planning, Development, and Zoning Commission. The proposed layout, street connectivity, and circulation pattern between sections 10A and 10B are different from the most recently approved Meridiana General Development Plan Amendment number 21. Additionally, staff would like to make note regarding any final plat, once we got to that point, regarding water and sewer utility availability. We are requesting that the developer provide a water and sewer utility availability summary table, including a summary of the current platted lots and corresponding connections, along with reserved connections and planned future connections, also including the current capacity of the water and wastewater facility, plants, lift stations, etc., within Med 57 or agreements with Med 55, Med 56, etc. Part of Ordinance 2004-017, Article 1, Section 1C, Article 2, Section 24B19, and Article 4, Section 49. In contrast with Section 10B, we do not have, well, I'm sorry, no, we do have the same reasons for denial, with one having to do with the drainage district and secondly, consistency with the general development plan. We've also made the same note regarding the final plat about our water and sewer availability summary tables. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer these for you.
Brad, are you bringing popcorn for us?
Did not bring any popcorn.
Bourbon? No bourbon? No popcorn?
Good evening. So I'm here to talk about the one issue for being recommended for denial, which is the connection between the two sections. We have come to an agreement, I think, as far as the preliminary drainage plan being approved by the Drainage District. We I think, accept that we can't really get that for y'all right now, and we will definitely have that by the time we submit a final plat. So not here to argue that. And then obviously the utility availability question, I have no comments on that issue. So the reason that I wanted to come and talk about this and explain why it's different now, and explain why we would ask that you approve this with this being different than what's on the general development plan, because there's no way I can say it's the same. It's not the same, it's different.
Okay, so I'm just making sure that you're stating that these two things are not the same.
Yes.
Gotcha.
You cannot argue that. So they're not 100% the same, yes. So just to back up a little bit, so originally this section was gonna be just one builder, and so they had 2 cul-de-sacs and it was just gonna be phased. But now it's 2 different builders, and the 2 different builders, they each want a cul-de-sac. So that's really what it comes down to as far as why the design is different. It's 80-foot wide lots and 90-foot lots, so it's two different builders. So obviously we've submitted a lot of general development plans, and I don't think that needing a new general development plan just for this one arrow, I think is it's tough, just because nothing else has changed. There's one access point into the neighborhood, boulevard entry. It meets the subdivision rules as far as what's in the PUD. The only difference is if you think that generally this follows the general development plan, or if you think that this is a significant enough difference, that would require submittal of a new general development plan. So with respect to staff's recommendation, I understand, and really I get it. I get the position they're in, that yes, it's not identical and there is a slight difference. But I think the change is small enough that it warrants consideration of approval with conditions of the other 2 items being addressed by final plat. And if you disagree, then we will see a GDP number 22. Or the other alternative here is, I don't know how the builders feel about it, and if they do have it connected, it may alter, they may not do the 2 different builders, that may change altogether. So that's just a conversation that hasn't been had, and I can't answer that tonight. So I'll leave it in your hands. I'm available if you have questions. You probably don't, but if you do.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Comments? So, just to reiterate, this is a GDP or a general development plan that y'all wrote. Am I correct in that? Because I know you didn't write it.
I did not personally write it either.
Someone in your
Yes, as affiliated with the
Wheelhouse.
developer, yes.
so you wrote this.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
just checking.
There's not a definition for what generally conforms to the general development plan means.
How,
That's why it's really,
how fun is that?
it's a question mark. But it leaves it open to interpretation. So that's,
And isn't that what we're doing here, interpreting it? Okay. Because usually, in my experience, the plans are pretty well defined. Not yours. You kind of keep adding stuff and taking it away. So, and it seems to be what you like to do. So, that's my only point, is that you kind of made this up. Okay, so any other questions? Comments? All righty. Thank you. Bring popcorn next time. Okay, so you know we all know our reversal of our, with a smile,
What motion?
motion,
I will give you a motion to approve agenda items A and B.
positive, negative. Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Raise your hand. All those opposed? Smile. All right. Thank you, Brad. Okay, so we're going to move on to letter C. Okay, consideration and possible action to approve and forward with recommendation City Ordinance 2023-0-09, which was our public hearing. Do you need me to read that? Do I need to read that again? I don't need to read that again. I already read it once.
Bobby, do we have to read the entirety of
Again?
the body from ordinance 2020?
Only council has to read the entire ordinance caption because under the charter it requires readings. Otherwise, technically, just the subject matter, enough to give the public knowledge of what's being voted on is enough.
Okay. Questions? Did you want to get an overview?
Mr. Jose Abraham, our city planner, will give you that overview.
Good evening, Commissioners. This is, the subject site is located at the southwestern corner of State Highway 6 and Blue Water Street intersection. It's right across from Starbucks on Highway 6. It's 3 tracts that are currently vacant, and it's a total of 1.641 acres, and it's currently zoned light commercial district with the State Highway 6 overlay district on it. The applicant is a potential buyer and is planning to develop the site for a car wash, which requires an SUP based on our current zoning requirements. The NAICS use code number is 81192. We met with the applicant back in September 2022. Since then, they've been working with staff. They've put together concept layouts and plans and details and done studies with respect to traffic and drainage. And all of that information is provided in the packet. And in terms of staff review and analysis, we're looking at the proposed land use in terms of the goals of the comprehensive plan. We're also looking at it based on the criteria provided in the zoning regulation to make sure that the placement or the location of the use is not detrimental to the area or to the overall comprehensive master goals, comprehensive master plan goals that the city has adopted. The applicant has provided a traffic study, an abbreviated traffic study. They're basing it, they've done that study based on the ITE trip generation manual that we have. And based on that, they were able to establish that the location of the land use would not create a detrimental impact on the traffic flow on Highway 6. They've also done a preliminary stormwater management micro study for the area to look into drainage-related issues. If the SUP is approved and they move forward, construction plans, platting, development plans, all those would be reviewed again by staff internally in detail and in depth. The comprehensive master plan focuses on benefiting from the city's strategic location by encouraging well-planned quality retail, commercial, and residential development that reflects and enhances our small-town quality of life. And the subject site being located along a major thoroughfare, it appears that it aligns with the goal of strategically placing commercial and retail use for the community. Staff does not anticipate any detrimental impact on the adjoining properties because all the adjoining properties are within light commercial zoning designation as well. And based on the design and the general conformance to the layout and design that the applicant has provided, staff is recommending approval of this SUP request with 10 conditions that are listed in the report and the draft ordinance. The first condition pertains to platting. Platting of the property would be required. The second condition pertains to getting the access agreement with the adjoining owner recorded and referenced on the plat. The third condition pertains to making sure that if there is any change needed on the concept site development plan provided to conform to any of the adopted City of Manvel codes at the time of construction plan review and building permitting process, it'll be addressed. Number 4, the proposed car wash on the subject site must comply with all the pollution control related requirements that we have. Number 5 talks about provision of sidewalks. Number 6, a condition that an opaque fence would be constructed and placed at the rear property line. I forgot to mention that the neighbors on the rear side is the RV park that we have, the Twin Lakes RV park. 7th condition pertains to landscaping requirement. It states that in addition to complying with all the landscaping, fencing, and screening requirements, a continuous row of shrubs shall be provided along the front property line to provide screening. Number 8 pertains to just reiterating that the total number of parking space that was provided on the proposed concept plan would be provided. Item number 9 and 10 pertains to outdoor lighting, making sure that it follows the current standards we have, and then there's additional requirement in terms of screening and providing cutoff fixtures so that it does not cause light pollution, I guess, and negatively impact the adjoining properties. With all of that, if you all have any questions for staff, we are here, and then the applicant is also present tonight, if you all have any questions for the applicant.
Okay, thank you. Comments? Questions?
So this is getting replatted as well, since it's basically 3 lots, going back down to one basically big lot.
The property is
Right.
required to be platted, correct?
Kind of an odd spot for a car wash, but yeah, it's what it is.
Yeah, yeah, you know, it's off the beaten path, I think that'd be. But, okay, everything does have to be platted, so,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so it would. Okay, so any other questions?
Yeah,
Mohammed?
just quick question. Don't they need any detention on this? I know there's a big lake on behind, but this is a lot of it's going to be? Okay, because the picture they show it over here, I don't see there's any future detention or anything like there. I'm not sure, can you see it in any of the drawings?
They've got on-site detention.
They-
It's-
they
I mean,
have one?
it's planned, it's still conceptual, of course, at this stage, so they'll have to dig in and start, doing the actual plans, the construction plans, but they're aware of it. We've had I guess a couple of meetings with them, so.
Because it says here you've already, they've provided a preliminary drainage study for the proposed development, which was reviewed. So, would that be along the lines that he's speaking of?
Yes.
So they've already provided all that.
Yeah, I was
Correct.
looking at the pictures, actually, looking at the picture of the drawings, it doesn't show it there, so I thought maybe, should we show it in the drawings or whatever?
Yeah, that's more of the building drawings, isn't that? Isn't that what you're?
So, I believe it's kind of factored in to the rear of the building, right on the rear side is what I see from the site plan.
Oh, okay.
But again, all those details will be looked into once we get into the building permitting process and construction plan review process.
Okay, so I'm looking for a motion. There's no other questions? Do I have a motion? Because this is to take action. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
With all 10 conditions.
With all time mentioned, definitely.
Just want to clarify it.
I'll second.
Okay, so a motion on the table is to approve with all conditions recommended. All those in favor, please raise your hand. And smile. Okay, thank you. Unanimously passed that. So we are on to letter D, consideration and possible action to approve an extended stay permit for recreational vehicle RV located at 7716 Bissell Road. Why do I feel we've been here before? There it is.
Oh, there you go.
So,
So in July 2022, our code enforcement officer, Ms. Danielle, visited the subject site, this property, 7716 Bissell Road, and this was regarding an RV being used as a permanent dwelling. The RV was visible from the right-of-way. Our code enforcement officer talked to somebody at the property, and it was the property owner's daughter, and the property owner's daughter, who's the applicant for this extended stay permit, Ms. Terry, she explained that they have plans to move to another location within 6 months. However, before the end of the 6 months, she stopped by the City Hall Annex and explained that due to the whole rain and weather and freezing and all of that, their plans got delayed a little bit. They bought a property in Santa Fe, which we were able to verify, and they've provided evidence where, and they've also got permits to place their RV on that property. And they are requesting for that 6-month extension because they're in the process, and due to things that they couldn't predict, their plan to move got delayed. And additionally, they're also going through a situation where the property owner is going through some medical treatment and stuff, and they would need somebody on site to care for during this time period. So they meet those two criteria provided by Chapter 38, provided by the extended stay provision that we have in the Code of Ordinances. And Chapter 38 was the section that prohibits the use of RV as permanent dwelling on a property. So based on them meeting these two criteria, staff is recommending approval of the extended stay permit request.
Is this same one we denied last time? I'm sorry, I mean, like, if you recall it. So,
Oh, go
It
ahead.
is not.
not the same one?
It's a separate
Wait a minute.
application.
Oh, but it was the same one.
No, we haven't brought you one that was on Bissell. I think it was maybe on Crestridge, perhaps.
I don't remember, but it was different. I know that.
It was not on. It wasn't on Bissell.
This is not the same one.
This is a different,
Oh, this new. Okay.
You're right. You're absolutely,
yeah.
you're right.
So just to clarify, the extended stay permit is basically just an additional 6 months? That's the limit on it?
I think it's minimum 6 months. If you, as the commission, wanted to possibly grant more time, you could. We recommend 6 months because of the situation that they are moving to another piece of property. They qualify for the conditions that we have on here to grant them some more time to do that. I think if you do approve it for 6 months, if we are at the end of 6 months and in this situation, it gives us another chance to reassess maybe what's going on, if additional time is needed, or if you've just kind of maybe exhausted all of our options on it. Other extended stay permits that have kind of been before you maybe didn't necessarily have a plan of action to move the RV. So in the past, staff hasn't necessarily made that recommendation as it being a living arrangement. But as we said, because this property owner is, has bought property and does have some conditions that apply, the intent is that they will be moving, so let's just kind of afford them that ability to do that.
And we did talk to the applicant about this same issue as to what their amount of stay would be, because that wasn't indicated on the application. And the response was that they wouldn't even need the full 6 months. They are almost there. It's just the matter of being delayed due to weather situations.
Okay, questions?
Yeah, this is the second extension, I assume, right?
No,
I don't think so.
no, no.
First extension.
First extension.
So the extended stay permit is for after 6 months. So they've been there 6 months, and now they have the first extended stay permit.
So I'm corrected, that this is not one you've seen before.
Right, it's not, yeah. Okay. It look like the scenarios look pretty same actually, and we did
Yep.
denied the last one.
Yep.
And
It almost looks like the same,
No, that was a different situation, yeah.
looked like the same, when you look at the map,
it is,
looked a little similar, but it's a totally different street. That should have something to do. So,
so,
okay,
city confirmed that they bought a new property, or is,
Yes, we've confirmed that they recently purchased, in fact, 2 tracts in the same area in Santa Fe, Texas, and they also provided us with a copy of the permit they have to place their RV on that location.
Thank you. Questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Alrighty. Motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
I will second that.
All those in favor, please raise your hand. And it's a unanimous vote. And we'll move on to letter E. Discussion update on a subdivision ordinance amendment presented by staff.
Okay. Will be pretty brief. So staff is in the workings of doing some amendments to our subdivision ordinance. The last ordinance amendment we had was in 2019. And I think that we told you, those that were on the commission at the time, is that it's a living and breathing document. Since that time, we've had a lot of changes to state law that y'all are so fully aware of, with the 30-day clock and such. So now that we've got more help in the office, just besides myself, we're able to kind of take this task on. So things that we're looking at is tightening up some things. So many of the items that we bring to you, if it's for conditional approval or if it's for a denial, those are based on sections of what is written in the subdivision ordinance. State law doesn't allow us to just make up reasons, be arbitrary or be subjective in any manner. Going through this process with people day in and day out, when those items get to you, sometimes there are things that you shouldn't kind of have to think about, or you shouldn't have to tell somebody that would necessarily be on a plat, that we're just kind of wanting to tightening up. Example would be in a vicinity map that you see on a plat, that we get pushback if we don't have jurisdictional lines on that. Common knowledge in the surveying world is that those jurisdictional lines would be on that vicinity map and on the plat itself. So it's little things like that that we want to achieve. Also in the processes of what we do, this was done back in 19. It was pre-COVID, pre-electronic of a lot of things, and now we almost exclusively work without paper when it comes to the platting. But do know we always keep one paper copy of those plats on file. If you ever want to come to our office and look at a full-blown copy, we do keep those for you. But certain things that we want to clean up in there where we say, gosh, you've got to have 11 copies of this and whatever, we kind of just want to tighten that up to where we can actually maybe just reflect to what's in our checklist, because things can change from time to time of what we're expecting in there. We'll also maybe want to tighten up some language as far as what we say with our master planning process. There are things that are inherently, proven from one to another of drawing the conclusion of what you gather that information from. But we are just going to have to be explicit. State law has really forced the city's hand to be explicit as possible and provide as many lists as we can of what's needed. So that'll help us and in our job, in our review process, and that'll help you guys in making those decisions when you're getting those recommendations from staff. So expect something probably within the next month or so. We probably have something before you to consider. That will be a recommendational piece that you send to council. So we look forward to your input. Also, too, during this time, if you have anything as Planning and Zoning Commission that you would, maybe like to, put in as input as we go through this before you even get anything specific from us, we'd be delighted to see it. And, hey, is this something we can work in that that you want to look at? Because this recommendation and the formulation of the amendment of the subdivision ordinance is just as important in having your input before time, rather than whenever we're presenting it to you. So we'd be happy to have that conversation.
Thank you. Very informative. Thank you. Any questions? She's expressive. Says her voice just puts me to sleep. Okay, any questions before we? Okay. So no action is needed there.
So do we just email, like like if there's some certain changes or something, you just email or?
Yeah, I would suggest, because of open meetings, to just, email Joe's and I, you guys as individuals, or actually Tammy really prefers the route going through her, and then thank you, Tammy. She prefers it being emailed to her, and then she'll route it to staff.
Okay.
And we will be there, and if you need to have a meeting with us one-on-one, we open to that.
Okay. Sounds good.
Any other questions? Okay, so let's move on to letter F. Consideration and possible action to direct staff to provide applicants written statements on the conditions for any conditional approvals and the reasons for disapproval of any plans or plats that were not approved per Texas Local Government Code 212-0091.
I will make a motion to approve agenda item F.
Second.
All those in favor, please raise your hand and smile. And we're going to go with consideration and possible action to approve excused committee member absences. I have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor, please raise your hand and smile. And I need one more motion.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor? And there we go. A big smile should be on that one. Thank you so much.